words of inspiration and love. Oh, how we live and what we say, it's Stampin' Up and it's our way.
Hi everyone and welcome, and what we have today for you is our next card, and these are the supplies that you will need to create this card. So what you will have is 4 small squares of basic white cardstock. You'll have 2 long strips of basic white. You'll have your base basic white. You'll have another larger square of basic white as well. You'll need to cut the designer series paper, and this paper is 5.5 by 5.5 centimeter squares. You'll need 4 of those. You will also have a piece of soft succulent, and you need to cut this piece of designer series paper to 5 centimeters by 10.5 centimeters, and it is going to get stuck onto there. Alright, you will also need 2 of your sprigs. You'll need your sentiment. You need to grab out your large flower from your Happiness Abounds stamp set that you have in the past used. You'll need your Versamark, you'll need your embossing buddy, and you will also need your gold embossing powder, your snips, and your multi-purpose as well. So, first thing we need to do is you'll also need some cherry cobbler ink. So the very first thing we need to do is stamp our flower in the cherry cobbler. So you will also need to grab your aqua painter as well, and you'll need your cherry cobbler ink pad or your red, whichever color you are using, and you need to pop some ink into this part of here. I'm going to just grab my other aqua painter and transfer some water into it. I don't want a lot of water because I am using the basic white cardstock, so I don't want to add a lot of water to my project. So I'm just going to use flushing down some water, and then I'm just going to apply that all over to my flower. Very rough and rustic. Not quite making right to the edge of each of the petals, just leaving a little bit. Just a general coat over that. Leave that aside to dry, and then we're going to fussy cut that out, or since you have your dies, you could also choose to use your die set to cut that out. So that is just going to be popped to the side for a second. Next thing what we need to do is we are going to stamp and emboss our words. I have got a Merry Christmas here, going directly to the card, pop down, stamp. So just give that a general stamp, and just bringing it up and over a little bit like so. And now I'm just going to add my gold embossing powder. flicking off any excess. Now I'm just going to grab my heat tool and I'm going to set that. Now what we need to do is we are going to glue down this piece of Designer Series paper to our soft succulent. Just leave that aside to dry a little bit. Okay, what we need to do now is we are going to just create a few folds using these 2 strips of cardstock. So for our first piece of the basic white, what I want you to do is grab hold of your bone folder, fold over the basic white, lining up the 2 edges, and burnish and fold over, give them a nice crisp edge. Turning it back onto itself, burnish the 2 of those. Turning it back on itself and burnish again, creating a little fold like this. Okay, our second piece. You can do it 2 ways. If you want to, you can go right ahead and fold these 2 ends to end, or you can score using your stylus tool at 3 centimeters. So I'm going to show you that way. So grab a pencil. This is 6 centimeters. I'm going to mark 3 centimeters. Turn it round. Mark at 3 centimeters. Yep, just confirming. And then grab hold of your stylus or your trimmer, whichever you prefer, and give that a score all the way down. Then fold it over, lining it up as you go, and then grab your bone folder and give it a good press down. Now what you're going to do is open it up and fold it in half like so, and fold it down again. Now what we're going to do is create a diagonal score line on either side. Now you can do this via your trimmer, or you can just go with this way that I'm going to show you. So what you want to do is take this part of the cardstock, and I'm going to line up this fold here. Let me just see if I can zoom in. So you'll see there's a score line here and there's a score line here. What I'm going to do is line up my score line. So I'm twisting my cardstock to line up that score line. Just give it a gentle fold to start with. Flip it over, and what you're going to do is line up this score line with your base score line, and then press down. Grab your bone folder, give it a good press. Now we need to do in the opposite direction. So while we have our card like this, we're now going up, and we're going to line up this score line with the other score line. So bring it up, just clamp it down just a little bit, flip it over, line up the other edge with the score. There we have our 2 score lines there, like that. Okay, so you now should have a little piece that goes like that. What we're going to now do is create them. So if you bring it so that the point is pushing upwards, what I want you to do is bring your two ends in to meet. Press down to create that fold. Press it down, give it a squish, and then you have now created your mechanism. What I want you to do now is you'll just see there is ever so slightly a little uneven gap there. So it doesn't line up. I want you to just trim off that excess. Take it down, give it a burnish. You're just manipulating all of that cardstock to make it go in to that position. Okay? The next thing what I want you to do is take hold of your designer series paper and two of your squares. What you're going to do now is you can do a couple of options, but what I have done with this, taking our W fold here, what you're going to do is take it so that your designer series paper gets stuck onto the opposite angles. If you want to, you can add some stamped images to this piece of basic white, or you can lay all four sides. So grab hold of your multi-purpose, and I'm just going to stick down my designer series paper first, positioning it in the center. Making sure that my pattern is all going in the same direction. So lining that up. Now, if you wish, I preferred it, but you don't have to do it this way. I'm putting all of my designer series paper onto So pop all of that onto the squares, giving a nice even border. Okay, leave that just to dry for a sec, and we're going to come back to the front of our card. Now with the front of the card, what you're going to do is we're going to glue this to the front. Leave that aside to dry for a sec, and just fussy cut out your flower. Now what we're going to do is just add some glue just to the back. Pop one down. And I'm going to spray it out the other direction. Then you're going to grab two of your dimensionals and then a third onto there, onto our flower. Making sure I don't touch those dimensionals onto the sprigs. Yep, we're good. So that is the front of our card. Now to finish off the inside of the card, what we're going to do is glue down our mechanism. So we're seeing that this triangle part here, Open up your card, lay this down into the center, just slightly away from our seam line. Pop a bit of glue there and then press down. Flip the card over, open up the back, and then press down. Okay, now we have a couple of options with the center of the card. If you wish to, you can add some words or spaces to your images. So if you would like to leave them blank, you can. If you want to then write on the inside of the card down here, you can. So it's entirely up to you what you would like to do. So I'm going to leave those pieces aside for a sec. I want you to open up your card. Now, here and here is where we need to glue our mechanism. So I like to use a little bit of tear and tape. And I'm popping the adhesive in this bottom corner, and I'm popping it into the top corner. Peel away the two outer edges. I'm making sure I've got my scallop pattern going the same direction as the front of my card, and what I'm going to do is actually line up these two pieces. So see how they're flush? Then what I'm going to do is do the same with the bottom layer. Lining it up. Press down. What you have created is a pop and twist card. So here we have our card, and then it opens up to a twist. So like I said, you are now able to add some greetings to these panels here if you wish. You can stamp some more images and cut them out, and then you could also add a little greeting or a message down here somewhere for them to write your message on there. So as the card closes, the mechanism folds in and the card shuts, and I'll just show you this angle. Nice and simply just folding back in. So then if you would like, you can also add some of our gold embellishments as well. So we also have the festive pearls, or the red and green pearls, and you can add some of those to this as well if you'd like to bling it up a little bit. So that is our next card. Okay, bye.
What we love, what we do, makes a difference in me and you. All these years of